Hi, another update. It's been a little while this time. I went to another meetup, and this one was themed around board games. So I got to play some really interesting stuff. Somebody brought a Settlers of Catan with the expansion, and I played 5-player Settlers of Catan, which was pretty fun. I got along pretty well with everybody, and nobody made any rude comments to me, and everybody gendered me as female, which was also very nice. I think probably I got a couple of strange looks, but I mean, that's fine, I suppose. It's basically as good as can be expected. I also have come to the conclusion that a lot of my clothes don't flatter me very well, and I suppose that's also to be expected, but I certainly have to increase my wardrobe. I think I'm doing okay on pants, but not so much on shirts. I think probably I only have maybe 4 or 5 shirts that I'm pretty happy with how I look in. And I guess, yeah, I'm starting to develop an eye for what looks good on me and what doesn't look good on me. That's been definitely an ongoing process. But certainly going out and people's reactions to me shapes that. So there's probably an element of randomness or bias if I happen to go out to a certain group of people who are nice to me or I feel more comfortable with and I'm wearing certain clothes, then probably I'm going to think that I'm looking better in those clothes than I actually am. And if I go out with some people who are maybe a bit judgmental or something like that, I'm probably going to think that I look worse in certain clothes than I actually do. So it's certainly kind of difficult to separate all of the sort of random factors out of it, but I think anyway, yeah, it's an interesting process anyway. Certainly, going through the different combinations of clothing and things like that, and seeing what looks good on you. I've come to the conclusion, kind of, that like this sort of thing is kind of okay, but even this shirt is like, I would say it's not ideal because it kind of makes my shoulders look too big. And but this is okay that it has like the half sleeves. I think it's not so bad. I could actually, like, this is a second-hand shirt, obviously. I kind of like this shirt, but if it went down to like here, maybe, like the sleeves went down a little bit more, then I think that would probably look better. And like shirts that the sleeves go all the way up like this, that definitely doesn't look good on me because it definitely emphasizes that my shoulders are too wide. So yeah, I'm kind of getting a feel for that. The other thing that I'm getting a feel for is pants. And actually, I'm kind of happy with how most pants look on me. My bum is pretty good, just my hips are not so good, but my bum looks pretty good in most pants, actually. So, yeah, it's all about shirts and my shoulders, and I would say of my body, the definite weakest point would be my shoulders, and unfortunately, there's not a whole lot I can do about that except for just dress very carefully to minimize how big they look, basically. But yeah, trans problems. I read that gay marriage got legalized by the Supreme Court in the US, and that's obviously good, but probably now that the crazy Christians of the world have like clearly seen that they've lost this gay marriage fight, they're probably going to move on to like ridiculous shit like bathroom bills and stuff like that in the US. So sorry, trans sisters in the US, you're probably still in for a lot more trouble. But overall, of course, it's a positive development. Society is kind of progressing, and can't complain too much. It's been a very amazing year for trans people, and you're starting to see trans people in all sorts of stuff, especially after the Caitlyn Jenner thing. But not just that. I mean, with Janet Mock in Orange is the New Black, and I think there's a trans character in the other Netflix series Sense8. I haven't watched that yet, but I will. And there was a trans character on going to be a trans character on Big Brother US, I think. And yeah, basically it's good things, and you're starting to see trans people in advertisements and things like this. But the interesting thing to note about that is that from what I've seen, probably trans men pass much better on average than trans women. Like, there's some trans men that you look at them and there's like no way. Like, I would never know unless they told me. But most trans women, and this might just be because I'm a trans woman, so I can clock other trans women really well, but most trans women you can see something. Unless they've transitioned extremely young and been on the hormone blockers and all that stuff, you can usually see something. Again, though, that might just be like, if I know that somebody's trans, I'm looking like super careful at everything. But anyway, my point about this is kind of, I feel like in those advertisements when they're using trans men, it's because they pass really well, and so it's less offensive to society. So like Google did this ad about a trans man who just wanted to go to the gym and work on his body and stuff, and he was like, he looked like a cis man, basically. And I was like, well, that's nice, and it's touching, and it's heartwarming that you have this gym commercial that involves a trans person, a trans man, but would they make this same commercial about a middle-aged, non-passing trans woman who just wants to go to the gym and lose some weight or use the treadmill? Not yet. Society's not ready for that yet. So certainly, I guess it's maybe something like the gay rights movement, where there's like certain types of gays that are acceptable and certain types of gays that are not acceptable. Like, probably the very straight-seeming or straight-acting, quote-unquote, gays, who you wouldn't really be able to tell so much unless they told you. They're like much more easy, like the Will and Grace type gays, probably much better to deal with or easier to deal with by society than the like super flamboyant sort of RuPaul style queenie gays. I feel like that's going to happen with trans people as well, where we're going to have this situation where it's, yeah, the really passing trans people who started transition much earlier and maybe have more money to spend on surgeries or something like this are going to be accepted more readily than the non-passing or non-binary trans people. And it's kind of a shame, because the reason why a lot of us, that is the not particularly well passing trans people, are the way that we are, is because of society's non-acceptance of the trans people who came before us. So it's kind of like the late transitioners get left out in the cold a little bit, and I guess that's just life. But anyway, I can hope for a world where most trans people in the future have their condition recognized as children and don't have to go through a lot of this stuff that myself and many others do have to go through with respect to transition and then just living after transition. I think that I'll probably improve, like how I look and things like that. My passability will improve as time goes on, but I think it'll probably always be a problem for me to some degree in my life. And maybe it won't be, but I think it probably will be. But yeah, I hope that in the future this doesn't happen, but for right now it is unfortunate, and I hope that eventually society can start to see us with a little bit of compassion as opposed to judgment, because it's really not something that we have much control over, or that we certainly want it to happen to us. Alright, that's it for today. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.